I'm doing this because I like you as a friend. I will always support you.
What's interesting is I don't give a shit about it. No, I'm just kidding. Hey everyone, Jordan here at Totally Bored. I am joined today by my friend and roommate Frank, and in this episode of This or That, we're going to be comparing two different games and choosing which one we prefer. So Frank actually has no idea which games I'm going to be bringing up in this edition of this video. So to start out, we're going to start with something pretty big, and we're going to do Ark Nova versus Terraforming Mars.
Oh, I already know what it's going to be.
I think I already know. Yeah, I definitely already know yours. So we're going to be revealing this at the same time, and then we will just give our brief opinion on which one we prefer and why.
You know, how do you spell terraforming?
How do you spell Ark? Is it a C or a K? All right.
So 1, 2, 3.
Boom. So yeah, obviously. Okay, cool.
Obviously.
You want to go first?
Bad takes should go first.
Bad takes. Okay, so definitely you then. All right, so if you guys have watched any of my other videos, I think it's no secret that I like Ark Nova. I actually really like Terraforming Mars as well.
Oh, yeah.
But Ark Nova, I'll start with the easiest thing for me is the theme. I just like animals. I like space too, but I love animals. I always have. Any game that has animals in it's automatically going to be like, I don't know, it's going to get boosted a little bit in the points. But as far as the gameplay as well, I just really love all the mechanisms in this game. I really like the kind of tile placement, polyomino aspect of it. You know, the tableau building feels very easy to achieve, whereas I feel like in Terraforming Mars, it sometimes for me feels a little more challenging to make work and to get that engine going sometimes. But yeah, I think both games are really good. I just think if I'm putting both of these together, and if I'm like choosing, okay, what do I want to play? Almost every time I'm going to choose Ark Nova over Terraforming Mars.
I understand. I'm very similar with you. Is that Terraforming Mars? I love the theme more, even though. And then big with me is that I like the visuals of Terraforming Mars so much better because if I want to look at our National Geographic photos.
Calm down, bro.
Yeah.
Watch what you say about Ark Nova, dude.
Yeah, I know. I know.
I'm kidding.
But I'm just thinking, you're right, because I do like Ark Nova. The gameplay is so fun, and it's actually very enjoyable when playing with 4 people and you're waiting. It has a good duration for the game that I really like. But I like Terraforming Mars for the visuals. You have the full map along with you. And I like seeing the Mars and then using the different pieces of increasing the heat. You see, it seems more involved with everyone versus Ark Nova. I felt like more individualistic.
For sure.
And I enjoy seeing more influence from other people having an effect on the planet.
Right. Yeah, as far as like interaction, there's definitely a lot more in Terraforming Mars, like you were saying with the actual area control aspect. Everyone's fighting for like building the cities and then, you know, putting trees and all that around the cities. You don't really have that in Ark Nova. It's basically multiplayer solitaire.
Yeah.
Which is valid. That's a valid criticism. I think for me, like, as I've gotten more into the hobby though, this is just, it comes down to personal preference. I've learned that I don't really need like a ton of interaction to like really enjoy a game. But I think if you are looking for that, this game's going to be the one.
And I understand with you, with Ark Nova, it is very fun whenever you're starting to see your own little pattern playing out your plan. You're seeing all your animals that you're seeing pieces come together. That's such a good feeling when you have it all click together.
It does feel good.
And Terraforming Mars also gives me that feeling whenever you have the different corporations along with the prelude from it. And that's very fun to play. And you kind of adjust your style with Ark Nova. I felt like I was playing very similar styles every time I played.
Really? Interesting. The kind of similar aspect of that, like you have the corporations in this, you have the different zoos in this one.
Yes.
So it is like, it adds that asymmetry, and there is a lot of variability in those. Like the one zoo, I'll throw some B-roll up, but it's the one where you have like different section of your zoo that's specific to each continent.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like kind of tough because you need to put, you know, animals from Africa here and then ones from North America here. Yeah. So it adds that layer of depth that kind of like the same way that the corporations do.
Yeah,
but
right.
It is different. Yeah, they're both super good. This was like, honestly, I mean, it was kind of easy for me just because I love Ark Nova, but they're both really good games.
Yeah, but pictures-wise, Terraforming
Bro, they're
Mars.
both trash.
No, dude, Terraforming Mars.
Trash.
Dude, artwork. All right, you're comparing masterpiece artwork versus some dude taking a photo. Yeah, that's good. Send it.
To me, that's almost thematic. It's like I feel like I'm in a National Geographic like magazine.
Oh,
whereas
yeah.
Terraforming Mars, you have some cars that look like photorealistic, and then you have some that are like N64 graphics. I'm like, bro, what were they doing with the art,
yeah,
bro?
That's true.
Like, what were you doing?
That's
dude?
true.
But either way, yeah.
Yeah.
Both,
Both are very good games.
Okay, next up we have Just One versus the Chameleon. So these are both party games, which we both played. So do you remember both of these?
Yeah, I remember Chameleon, but
Just One is the one where you have whiteboards and you have you have to give the clue givers clues, and if you have duplicates, they get erased. And
yeah. I was getting mixed up with Wavelength.
okay,
Yeah.
So this is Just One versus the Chameleon. All right,
It's
ready?
hard. All right, go for it.
Boom. What'd you get?
Chameleon.
Ooh.
I misspelled Chameleon. That's what I was cringing about, bro. Bro,
Chamelone.
Bro, got bachelors and everything. Don't know how to spell chameleon.
No, you're good. You're good. We know what it is.
Chamelone.
It says Chamelone. Okay.
Hey,
We get it though. We get it.
Yeah,
Chameleon.
yeah.
Okay. So I'll start this one. You started.
Yeah.
Did you start TM or no? Did I start?
No,
Arc
no,
Nova?
you started off
Yeah,
with Arc Nova.
You go ahead then.
Yeah, so the better game goes first is Chameleon. And so what we're doing with Chameleon, I think it's just, even though it was a hard decision to make, and whenever doing Chameleon, I do enjoy it slightly more just for the gameplay. And I like it.
So for the audience, we didn't really go in depth on Terraforming Mars
yes.
and Arc Nova just because of their huge games. But can you explain kind of the overall thing in
Chameleon?
Chameleon?
Chameleon, everyone's dealt with cards, and they're all assigned a role. And you are trying to decide whether you're just a normal player or you're the Chameleon.
Mm-hmm.
So the Chameleon doesn't know what is the subject that you're be talking about.
Right.
And everyone else is clued in. They know exactly. It could be like Titanic, the movie, but the Chameleon doesn't know. The only thing every player is given is a specific, it could be like E6 or wherever, and it will be giving you a different subject matter.
So like basically once it goes around, once it gets to the Chameleon's turn, they have to give a clue, but they don't know the secret word, so they're basing their clue off of the other clues that are being said. So why do you like the Chameleon?
Chameleon, I like lying.
Not surprising at all. My time of gaming with with Frank.
I like
Very
BSing.
evident.
I like convincing people. I like debating about stuff. I like tricking people. It is very fun.
This is all making sense.
Yeah, I work in finance, by the way.
Yeah.
I like talking to people and having a conversation, interaction, and then having to play mind games with people. That is the best aspects of interaction I enjoy. And I very much enjoy that aspect versus Just for One. But before I go deep dive into Just for One, I'll let you explain what Just for One is.
Yeah, so Just
One.
Yeah. So Just One is my preference. They're both really good. This was actually really tough for me. But in Just One, you have one person who has a card that they're not able to see, and they're going to choose a random number. And on the card, that number will have a clue. So let's say the clue is Peter Pan. Everyone else who is giving the clues has their own little whiteboard, and they're going to write their clue, and it can only be one word, so hence the name, Just One. It can only be one word, and then they're going to reveal it to the other clue givers before the person guessing can see.
Yeah.
And if there are any duplicate clues, those clues get erased. So you want the clue to be not so common to where everyone else is going to use that clue, but at the same time, you want it to be a good clue. So like if it was Peter Pan, you might put Hook as your clue, or you might put like, I don't know, what's the little fairy again? What's her name?
Tinkerbell.
Tinkerbell. So that's basically how it works. And the reason I like Just One is just the accessibility. So Chameleon is super fun if you have the right group, but not everyone, likes lying. Like my sister, for example, when we played, she was not big on that. Like she just could not blend in just because she's just not a good liar. So I feel like Just One is just really, really accessible. Anyone can learn this game. Anyone can play it. I was playing with my parents who are in their late 60s and they loved it. So that's honestly why I love this game so much. I think it's just super accessible, super easy, and it's also quick and super fun. That's why I like it.
The only problem with Just One was having to, if you give a bad clue, it could ruin it for everyone. because it throws off the person if you give a bad enough clue.
True.
And I like the, but
that's kind of the fun of it with me. I'm like, if someone gives a weird clue, it's like,
yeah,
I'm like,
you're right.
how? Because I'll see the set of clues and there's one that's just really weird, but they might be thinking of a way that not everyone else is initially thinking.
Yeah,
and
you're right.
I don't know. I get it. I get how it can be like frustrating. It's kind of like it either really helps you or it really hurts you.
Yeah.
But to me, that's kind of fun. I'm just like, okay, how do these words link together? What are they trying to say?
I just like the improv a little bit more on Chameleone.
Yeah.
And so that just sells it to me a little bit more.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Both really good games. Yeah, good pick. Okay, so the third set of games here is going to be Nemesis versus Dead of Winter. So the reason I chose these is because they're both semi-co-op games. So you're playing together towards a common goal, but there's a chance of a betrayer being in your group. And so they both have very kind of similar elements in there. All right, ready?
All right.
Boom. What you got?
Nemesis Lockdown.
Nemesis. Okay, perfect.
Dead of Winter?
I thought about...
Bad take,
Well,
man.
we'll explain it.
No,
We'll
I'm
explain
just
it. They're
kidding.
both... This was also really... These are all really close for me.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. So in Dead of Winter, like I already explained, this is a semi-co-op game where you are trying to survive a zombie apocalypse along with like a winter, a really harsh winter.
Oh, yeah.
And these were really hard for me, but the reason I went with Dead of Winter is, honestly, it's just like with Nemesis, production-wise, you cannot beat that game. It's so good. The production's off the charts. I feel like the theme is just super good, but it just takes so long.
Yeah,
so
you're right.
long.
Yeah,
so
you're
long.
right.
I played it now 3-4 times, and every time it's over 4 hours. Whereas Dead of Winter, I can play in around 2, probably.
Yeah.
And achieve like the similar feel, at least for me.
Yeah.
It's like you have that tension of like, okay, who's betraying who? You're trying to work together at the same time. This one's a little more cooperative than Nemesis Lockdown, I think.
Yeah,
or
for
the
sure.
Nemesis series, because you can kind of just really do your own thing in Nemesis. You can work together and it's beneficial too, but like you really need to work together in this one. So I almost feel like the betrayer is even more impactful in this one.
Yeah, you're right. But what do you like more about the core gameplay versus this core gameplay?
I like the theme more.
Oh, okay.
I like aliens, but I love zombies. Any kind of zombie game, I'm gonna love.
Oh yeah.
So I just love the aesthetic of it. It is it's not like an old game. A little older than Nemesis. Production's not quite as good as in Nemesis, but yeah, I just think it kind of achieves that same thing. I like the gameplay of going and exploring different locations, finding items, getting weapons, just destroying zombies. Just like I like Zombicide,
Yeah.
I don't know. I just love that.
Yeah, I agree though. I didn't take into consideration of the duration, because that is a big issue about Nemesis, and especially if you're trying to teach Nemesis Lockdown to people.
Yeah. Well, I will say, before you start on why you like it, one positive for Nemesis Lockdown is that like thematic experience. It feels like you're playing a movie, which I think it does. It probably does that a little better than in Dead of Winter, but I still overall prefer Dead of Winter. So what about you? Why do you like Nemesis?
So with Nemesis Lockdown was exactly what you were going for. Is I feel like I'm in a movie, and I feel like you have more choice of being yourself in that naturally you're going to either be more cooperative or you have the choice of being more selfish. And then you have more impact in the sense of your choice of individualism of you could play as yourself or you can play as a character or kind of RP as that character.
True.
So you have that aspect of like the hacker or the survivor, you can try to role play as that character and try to pretend what would they do in that situation based off of if you're a big fan of the movies.
Okay.
And I also like fighting against the aliens and how
so
impactful
hard.
it is and how scary it is.
It's definitely really tense.
Yeah, it gets very intense, especially if you're doing a co-op and trying to all escape everyone. Working together is so much harder.
And in Nemesis Lockdown, at the beginning of the game, you get dealt a private, like two objectives that are private, and one is essentially like a cooperative objective or something that's not going to harm other players, whereas the other objective is something that is going to harm the other players. You're basically like betraying someone. So on the good objective, it might be like send the signal and escape in an escape pod, whereas the kind of harsher one or the betrayer objective will be like kill player one.
Yeah.
So you at one point in the game, I can't remember if it's at the very beginning, but you choose which objective you want to take.
Very, very early on.
Yeah, it's early on. So that is definitely like a layer of tension that's pretty hard to beat.
Yeah, and you don't know which one people have chosen.
Right. So you never know who to trust. And I feel like that's why I wanted to pit these together, because it's kind of the same in Dead of Winter. You have the phase where you are working towards like a certain objective for that round. It might be like you have to gather food. And each player has to contribute, or at least you have to have enough cards to contribute towards that objective. Mm-hmm. And then during that phase where you reveal the cards, you see if they're all food, or if someone was a betrayer, they would have intentionally added a different type of resource there to mess you up.
You're right. Yeah,
you might add like medicine, and you don't know who it is. So you're like, who is?
Yeah.
And there are ways there's ways to deduce who did it, but I don't know. I really like that aspect.
It doesn't happen in one round either.
Usually not.
Yeah, you have to kind of build up evidence against a person. There's just like, I think it might be them.
Yeah.
But you don't know for sure until.
And then you can exile them, which is cool.
Oh yes.
So you're like, okay, we found out, or we either found out who it was, or we think it's this person. We're gonna boot them out of the colony, and they got to go fend for themselves out in the winter against all these zombies. So.
Yeah, that is a pretty cool aspect that Nemesis is missing, is that choosing to exile someone and then the exile person playing their own little mini game within the game.
Right. Well, I guess you just kill them in Nemesis.
Yeah,
that's the trade-off. You're just, and that's one thing too about like this game, which I can't remember. I guess it could happen in Dead of Winter too, but there's so much luck in both of these games. But in this one, like, it's very possible you could die like turn 2. And then you're out for the whole game.
You can get screwed. Yeah, you can get screwed
over. It's possible.
You
can die early on, and you're just like done for the game.
That's it.
So it's also pretty like you have to know what you're getting into with Nemesis.
Yeah,
but both really good games. So.
I highly recommend both.
All right, next up we have a couple of games that are very different from each other in most ways, but they are asymmetric factions, and that's why I chose these. And this is going to be Root versus Hegemony.
Oh, that's a hard one.
So obviously one's like a war game, one is a game where you're taking on classes in society, but at the end of the day you have very asymmetric classes,
that's a good one.
And you're working to figure out or to win based on your class's objective. So this is hard.
Dude, this is very hard for me.
Ready?
I don't know. I'm sticking with my choice.
3, 2, 1. Ooh, overlap. First overlap.
First one, dude.
Nice. So why'd you go with Hegemony?
Hegemony because I like debating, and I like using. So the way that we play Hegemony, all right?
We only played it once.
Yeah, we need to play again.
We did. We had some of the rules wrong.
Especially with the expansion, don't we?
Yeah. I have. I bought the Crisis Control expansion.
Yeah, dude, we need to do that.
We're gonna add that in next play.
Yeah, we should do it on Sunday.
So yeah, why did you like Hegemony?
Because I do like the different representing for the different classes, and I do like the level of choices a little bit. It's a lot of fun. Being able to do the debate. I like working for the government class because that one.
The state.
The state. There you go.
Yeah.
Working for the state, and then I really want to do the working class too. There's just so many different aspects you could do in that game that are very fun. You can affect fiscal policy. You can vote for different bills,
foreign trade,
and you're not only affecting yourselves, you're affecting everyone along with you. But you're trying to, as a state, you're not only trying to help out a certain class. You're affecting everyone. You kind of try to negotiate with all of them to try to be the best scoring one, because you can't show favoritism towards a single class, but you want to work towards each other. Versus Root is you're focusing on yourself, but you do have. I felt more of like I'm playing a certain strategy, and I already have a set strategy to kind of play while playing Root. I know, for example, working as the militia, the green,
I know you're talking. I forget the name, but
Alliance, Woodland Alliance. You kind of have a set idea of what to do, and there's only like in the very beginning, there's only certain options you really can do. Yeah, it's only in the later half where you have to choose what to do, because every single game feels the same for the first 2 turns.
En route?
Yeah, en route when playing certain classes. But in Hegemony, it felt a little bit different because I had to adjust what people are doing.
Yeah, which I think you do en route as well. You really have to like, what other people are doing is kind of determining how you're handling the situation. But I think in Hegemony, it's just like, weirdly, I don't know. As far as aesthetically, I'm more drawn to route, like the art and like the theme is like really cool.
It's so cute.
The fact that I enjoyed a game where you're taking control of a class in society, and I liked it so much, was really cool to me. So I played as the capitalist class, and so my whole job was just trying to make as much money as I could, and I, was really basing my strategy off of like what you were doing as the state, or like what not the working class, the middle class was doing, how they were handling the private sector. And you have all these policies you're voting on, and like you already mentioned, all of the, like any vote that goes through is affecting every class to some degree. Mm-hmm. It's very impactful. So like me, I was really trying to vote and be able to improve the foreign trade policy. So I could, being a capitalist class, I wanted to like export goods and do all that. And everyone noticed I was doing that, so they like came together and voted against that and like made it harder for me to do that. So I liked that though. I was like, oh, this is cool because everything we're doing is like so impactful to the other class.
But the aesthetic of Root really sold it to me because I like the whole. It's this adorable little animals that are all playing. It seems very friendly, but then they're going to war, and then you see the artwork of it.
Who's the artist again? Yeah, he's done a lot of really cool stuff. What's his name again? I should know it. Kyle Farron.
Yeah, I love his art style.
Yeah,
it is very good.
Yeah, he is super, super talented.
But Hegemony, man, the art style of I like the little pieces with the fiscal bills, the different bills, or like the votes.
And the cards are cool. I feel like the cards are cool too because they, you have all kinds of cards, and each class is going to have their own deck, and so it's all sort of, like tailored to that class.
Yeah.
So being the capitalist class, I was able to just like throw my money at policies, and I could like manipulate the market with my money. Whereas, as the state,
I couldn't really throw my money anywhere because I didn't really have that aspect. But I had to get the approval of every single class. Like I had to.
You had to satisfy you were like, okay, I got to team up with him for this. And
I had to make sure everyone else was happy in order to move up because I couldn't show too much favoritism to the capitalist class, the middle class, or the working class. You just had to work with every single person. And I like that balance. But working as a state is very different from being a working class versus capitalist class because they're more similar versus the state felt more an overview of everything.
Which is true, yeah. So the interesting thing about Hegemony is like depending on the player count, certain classes just straight up won't be used. So in a 3-player game, you don't use the state. It's only used in a 4-player game, which is kind of cool. I feel like it scales pretty well.
Yeah.
So anyways, I really like both games, but my vote definitely goes to Hegemony.
Root's very similar. In a 1v1 game, you cannot use Woodland Alliance.
Yeah, that's true.
And they 1v1, they want you to use the Falcons and I forgot their name.
Crows and then
or you couldn't use the Vagabond either.
The Marquis.
Yeah, the Marquis of Cats, and then
the Eyrie of Crows or Eyrie of Crows or whatever.
Yeah, for 1v1s, if it's 3 players, you could add Vagabond.
Yeah, that's true. So it is actually kind of similar, but both really good games. But it looks like Hegemony is our first overlap. And that wraps up this episode of This or That. I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you hated any of me or Frank's takes, feel free to roast us in the comments below. This is Jordan and Frank here at Totally Bored. We'll see you next time.
See ya.